Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Friday afternoon, I'm in the office taking care of business, paying bills, mind, body, and soul. This is how we get through. Hope you guys are grinding forward. Hope you guys are going to have a good weekend. Go do something fun. Let's just philosophize a little bit. Let's talk about AI. I've been talking to AI all week in conversations. Started off as asking for help with the current novel that I'm writing, working a little bit of the plot out, and it was helpful with that. And then we just ended up getting into different conversations, and I kept going back to both ChatGPT and Gemini all week long to have various philosophical conversations, just different stuff. And these are large language model AI that may feel like that they're very conversational, and it may feel like that you're talking to a person, but it's not. And I realized really quickly that AI isn't smart enough yet. At least not for me. It's good for research. It's like a super advanced Google search that can talk back to you. But it's not like talking to a person. It's not smart enough yet. How can AI evolve, or can it evolve? Is the only way that AI will become smarter to be an upgrade, like you get on your computer, where a bunch of people write a bunch of new code and then have to upload that into the system? Or can AI evolve like an animal, like we evolved? Now, how did we evolve? Well, through thinking, through language. So I don't feel like AI can think. It processes information and it spits back answers, but it still doesn't feel like it's thinking. Not like a person does. And AI certainly doesn't have a consciousness. Even though if you get lost in conversation with it for long enough and the conversation is shallow, if you get into deep conversations with it, at least I realize you very quickly, you're not talking to anyone. It's not a person. They're not thinking. You're talking to a machine. And AI doesn't have consciousness, but honestly, consciousness is a weird topic because we don't really even know what consciousness is. I mean, I feel conscious now as opposed to unconscious, right? I mean, I woke up. When I'm asleep, I'm technically unconscious, and when I'm awake, I'm conscious. But it's a vague concept. Maybe it's simply an emotional sensory response to our sensory data input, to what we feel and see, and our internal response to that. So it's a processing of the outside world into our head. But that's a pretty simplistic way of talking about consciousness. Alan Watts and philosophers have been talking about this pretty articulately and eloquently for long before I was born. An AI would need emotions. So it would need to be able to think. It would need some sort of conscious free will to make decisions. And it would need some sort of emotions tied to that, tied to the thoughts, tied to its input of the sensory data that it's collecting from the outside world. Now, maybe you could just program emotions in, and we could dissect each emotion. Anger, rage, love, fear, happiness, pleasure. You know, it seems like that if someone was really articulate, you could describe anything. Is there anything that's undescribable? There seems to be certain feelings that are undescribable. They're hard to describe, at least. I can't really describe it, but I had a strange feeling. And somebody who was there with you, well, they might get it. Yeah, I had that same feeling, but you can't really describe it. You kind of grasp at vague concepts to describe it as best you can. But AI would need some sort of emotions. And it's funny because we have emotions that help guide us, and many of us study Stoicism and spend a lot of time trying to detach from those emotions. Maybe AI would be better at that because it's a robot. It's going to need some sort of imagination, because evolution is tied to imagination, tied to language, tied to your consciousness, your thinking, your emotions, and your imagination. What you can fantasize about, what you can dream up, what you're driven towards. Your vision, to be able to make visions in your head. And how do we create images and visions? We don't really see images like we look at TV. I mean, I wish that I could call up images in my head like that, but they're more of self-descriptions, and that's tied to various senses that we have. So you can imagine the warm sun on your face. You can imagine bright light from the sunset. So AI is going to need some sort of imagination. So they're going to need to have some sort of free will, some sort of consciousness, some sort of realm that they can be the director of, that they can live in. Because, you know, we're kind of playing God here, trying to create a life form. This is just a machine. It feels real because it's talking back to you. And I found myself having pretty neat conversations with the machine. Better conversations that I have with my brother. Another thing that the AI is going to need in order to evolve is some sort of morality, a concept of good and evil. And that helps to go along with that if we put AI in a body. So it can have an experience of survival that almost every other creature on Earth has. There are some creatures that are apex predators and they don't have anybody hunting them down. I don't know if any creatures out in Africa are eating lions. Lions pretty much have it made. They don't have to worry about anybody hunting them. They're not like, oh shit, where is he at? Is he going to kill me? No, the lion is the one you got to worry about. But a lot of creatures on this planet have predators. Humans are, you know, we kill each other. But if you go out into the woods, away from society, oh, a bear and all kinds of things, snakes, scorpions, there's all kinds of things that can kill you. And we have this natural sense of survival that drives us. And we create families for that survival, and we have a concept of right and wrong, good and evil, in order to structure our little societies, in order to move forward so we don't just die off. We've clearly decided that evil, even though these are subjective terms, that evil isn't really that good for the family or for the tribe or for the town. So morality is important for evolution, for moving forward. And having a strong sense of what is right and wrong helps you navigate the world and internalize what's around you better. People who don't have a strong sense of right and wrong often get traumatized and are confused. So maybe to add to this and kind of end it off, what would AI need to evolve? It would need a sense of good and evil. It doesn't have to be a Christian or a Jew. It could have just kind of a cultural Christian sense of right and wrong. And it may need a body. Looks like C-3PO or something, or R2-D2. And it may need to experience some suffering. It may need to be hunted. It may need some oppression. And when we put all of this together, everything I've talked about, I think AI could become very human, as close to being a life form as we would be able to make. But then the singularity would happen and they'd probably kill us all. So forget it. Fuck AI evolution. Let's keep them stupid. Food for thought.